Welcome back to another edition of the International Leadership Podcast. My name is Joe Beauchamp. I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, good friend of mine for about the last 7 years, Robert Esposito. He is the founder of Relocators as well as Nobody Move. Rob, why don't you go ahead and say hi to our audience?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, 7 years. Time flies. It's a pleasure
Yeah,
being here, and I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
thank you so much. So Rob, tell us, listen, you've got a remarkable journey when it comes to founding Relocators. Um, you were a teenager when you started it. You had like one truck. Tell us about how you started, when you started. Give us some background on Relocators.
Sure. So my mother actually was one of the first estate sale companies on Long Island. She had cleaned out my grandmother's house when she had cancer and moved her out from Queens. And she put an ad in the paper just as a secretary at a medical office. Old stuff out brings the money in. Let us show you where to begin. And with that, the Depression era was really building at the time, downsizing. And she became one of like the first on Long Island. And to me, my little brother, it was shocking in our late teens. And when I was about 22, I borrowed $44,000 from my father, and I purchased a box truck because I was like assisting her on cleanouts. And I saw how fragmented the industry was as a whole, and I wanted to see if I can do something about it. Plus, my mother had a lot of work, so
Great. So that was
yeah,
the founding of Relocators.
relocated.
I've
Correct.
seen some of the pictures. You look really
Yes.
young there at 22 years old. You got one truck,
Shocking. Yeah.
and that's pretty bold. Like, what gave you the boldness to like borrow 40? That must have been scary. Borrowing $44,000, buying a truck, starting a business.
I'm sorry if I said that it was $4,000. Yeah, I know
Oh, sorry,
I
four
mumbled
thousand.
it.
Okay, even 4,000.
Yeah,
Wait,
there was no
4,000.
44
4,000.
at the time. Yeah. I was going to college. I was waiting tables. I was sick of it. I wanted to do something, and I just always had this like desire for, I guess, control and doing things my way. A couple unions at the time had offered me jobs, which was also a big deal, and they were dream jobs to us because at the time, like you'd sit outside for 2 days in a courtyard in Queens or the city to hopefully get an application to a union. And I remember people thought I was crazy for not taking the job, but I wanted to, find my own path. And I guess when you have nothing, you have nothing to lose. So it was easier
That's
back then. I'll say that.
that's a good point too. So I would say that probably most entrepreneurs, as you're growing, as you're starting your business, or you're thinking about starting the business, there's all those voices. Everybody's like, get a real job. Why don't you work for the union? I think the train station is hiring, or the post office, or one of these secure, like you're always going to have a job kind of uh, careers. And those are very tempting, but there's something about that entrepreneur that says, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to take the risk. Um, can you just tell us about like what was going through your head, like that experience of telling everybody, no, I'm going to do this on my own?
And I couldn't agree more. I love that you said that. I think we're at such an interesting time right now with the whole AI thing. Like, I think even the people that were the naysayers back, like our parents, are like, well, do we even know if college is the right path? Like as a parent, I have a 9, 10, and 11-year-old, and I wouldn't think of sending them to college. And the way it was when we were children, it's get a union job or become a lawyer, become a doctor. And I don't know if any of us know right now what's going to be safe. And it's just about being like, you know, aware of what's going on. But back then, I just saw limits everywhere. And I knew if I did it myself, there wouldn't be a limit. I knew it wouldn't be as comfortable. But to me, it was like much more exciting to do it that way. And, thankfully, it's worked out so far.
It's worked out through a lot of white
Yeah.
knuckling, a lot of grit, and a lot of
Yes.
sweat and some blood, I'm sure, and some tears over the course of time. Um,
Yes.
so now, much more recently, I remember going to your kickoff event. So Rob is a best-selling author of a book called Nobody Move. And it's kind of, I love that twist on the play of the words. You know, I own a moving company and I write a book called Nobody Move. Of course, the subtitle is without reading this book first. What inspired the Nobody Move concept? This is more than just a book. It's more than a concept. It's like a movement. It's a movement called Nobody Move. What inspired this?
So, to the point of the podcast and your point, my initial reaction was I wanted to write a book for the young entrepreneur starting out, because you always hear the American dream is dead. And it's like, no, like, yeah, it might be harder in some areas, but imagine like if you had to go to the library and ask what the Dewey Decimal System was in order to look something up. Like, it's also so much easier. And for me, like, I wanted to write that book, but my career and my day-to-day life was way more pressing to me, and I was seeing much more of a bigger problem that I wanted to address, so I went that route first, and that's how Nobody Moved came about.
So tell us about this challenge, because this is not just for people in the real estate industry, for movers, for realtors. This is really I see this as something for the greater population, because we tend to we're not seeing our people, we're not seeing our customers. Tell us what's this biggest challenge that you saw that you're trying to answer with this Nobody Move movement?
So my initial answer was that the fragmentation in the industry that I saw as a kid was really not the truth. It was the emotional pains that people feel. And I would say that is the truth, but even in the last 3 years, digging into Nobody Move, like, we've trademarked it as a standard now, as a missing standard in the real estate industry. And through my research, what I found is that there's a common phenomenon in complex systems when infrastructure is built, that they're built to perform a narrow function and they fail to support their actual reason for existence. And you see it in the military with reintegration. You see it in airlines. You see it in surgery. You see it in universities. And all these other major infrastructures have tried to fix it. And I believe personally that the real estate industry, although I will tell you as a fact, it is the housing market in the US is the biggest financial market the world's ever seen, they knowingly don't want to fix it. And the powers that be. And that's where my battle lies, because like I said, with the business owner starting out with the book, you know, the agent, the good ones that are working hard every day, I don't feel like they're supported. And what it's doing to the consumers, I mean, it's 20 years of seeing the fallout that it's now become my life's mission.
So one of the things that I heard you say that was shocking, it was shocking because I've never heard it before, but it made perfect sense when you said it. And that is that moving is one of the most traumatic experiences in people's lives. So the whole process, like, we think, hey, buying a new house, this is new and exciting, but it's really a tremendous upset. It's an upheaval in our lives. And not everybody's moving into a house because everything's going wonderfully. And, you know, I remember I bought my house, I was 26 years old. My wife was pregnant. I kept making more money at work. I had enough money, and so I bought this house, and it was a very joyful experience. But that's not always the case. I think that's probably less frequently the case. What kind of things were you seeing that really brought to light this idea that it's such a traumatic experience?
Yes. So it's multiple parts. And if most lists on Google, it comes up third biggest stressor: death, divorce, moving, serious illness. And you're like, moving, how does it come before cancer? Like, that makes zero sense. But the idea is that no other trade shows up for 50 at least. And what happens with moving is it's the logistical move, but it's really not. It's from like when your last child goes off to college and you think like, oh, this might not be the right house for me for long, till months, years later through the move, to months, years later and getting settled. So you combine that with all like the emotional angst that comes into, like you said, a non-achievement move. and then you combine it with a major infrastructure that's set to literally, I coined the term emotional amnesia. It's at the closing table, the walkthrough becomes like a plank walk. And what happens is all guidance, all regulation falls off, and the client's stress and anxiety shoots through the roof at the same moment. So
Wow.
it's a major, major point in people's life. And most people have to experience it. You know, they say on average like 6 to 11 times. But
That's crazy. I never even thought that people moved that frequently. But I like that you described it as like this plank walk, right? So all the way up to this closing table and the walkthrough, you're supported. You have your lawyer, you've got your realtor, you've got your mortgage broker, and
title,
everybody's there
mortgage,
supporting you. Title, the inspector, like you're getting phone calls and emails and text messages, maybe even too much. And then all of a sudden you walk this plank and you're all alone. Everyone's gone. They've all made their money. All the checks have been written. And now you're here.
yep. And you know, the people in the industry, they experience it, the good professionals, the great professionals, and I work with some great professionals, but they don't even understand it completely. And I think I was put in, I mean, I feel chosen by it, but I think I was put in a really unique dynamic, being coming from the estate sales, which at 21 years old, people in California would cancel their flights and have me hire their movers and hire their realtors and choose who was the realtor, and then owning a moving company and a clean out company and seeing after that, I saw the whole picture, and just personally being like a human, you know, like uh, somebody who, like, you know, observes the human condition. I always analyze like what's going on with this, and yeah, it's really a pain point in people's lives for good and non-achievement reasons. I always say non-achievement because you never know. Some people, you know, are happy with their divorce or to lose their job, so you never know.
I mean, listen, it's still a traumatic move, moving out of your home through divorce. A lot of people are moving out and they're leaving their kids behind. They're leaving all those memories behind. And
Yeah,
you've told stories about, to somebody it's just a box of junk, but to the person whose box of
yeah,
stuff it is, this is their life memories. This might be all that they have left of a relative who passed away, or a child, or an old relationship or something, and it's left in this box. And so you as the mover can empathize with that homeowner and feel it, but a lot of other people don't. They might just think, hey, it's just garbage, it's just stuff, this is an old couch or an old piece of furniture, it's old, it's worn out, it's not even worth anything. But that's the one that my grandmother used to read stories to me when I was a kid. And so it's not worth anything in a dollar amount, but it's worth everything in an emotional amount. And so I think to just not even see the homeowner, not even see that the humanity in there. I think so many of us in business anyway, we're so busy with the next customer, the next job, the next client, marketing and advertising and payroll and all this stuff. I mean, business is stressful, we all know that. And then to lose sight of our customer, who's really the whole reason that we're there. And I think it's great that you're bringing that to light, that you're bringing the humanity back to an industry where we've allowed our clients to, so to speak, walk this plank.
yes. And I want to be very clear about one thing, because I have this conversation all the time and I get a lot of slack from it. You know, think about it like this, if you give me a minute. Item number one is $30,000. You get a 170-point inspection. You get a warranty. You get a maintenance plan. You get it detailed like new. You sign and drive it, and you get brand new keys that are reset. Item number two is $1 million. You're lucky if you get a good inspection. Most of the time, an inspector that does his job no longer has a job because of who referred them if they break it up. The warranty is non-existent. The maintenance plan is non-existent. It comes broom swept clean, which is really empty and dirty. You rarely have it move-in ready. And if they tell you to make it customary to hand over the keys, which is absolutely outright dangerous in my opinion. And I want to be extremely specific to say the agents, they're doing a great job, and they're working weekends and they're working vacations, and they're trying to, and they're almost rewarded for it being wrong. And I say that because they get awards for transactions and they don't even see it, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So this is not an attack on them. It's beyond them. It's a structural issue.
So what is it? So let's say I'm in the real estate industry, maybe I'm a realtor or somebody else in there, or even just business owners in general. What are some of the steps that we can do to try to solve these problems, to see our clients, to really handhold them through there? Maybe take the jump off the plank with them and be there, and swimming them to safety. How do we take that step up ourselves?
Absolutely. And I think they're doing that. And I think the great realtors do that, because that's kind of where our, if I have any, not argument, but lack of a better term, point of contention, they'll say, hey, I'm doing that. I'm making sure. And that is absolutely true. And my whole mission in life for the rest of my life now is, what I'm saying is, hey, if you're going to take Spirit Airlines or you're going to take Delta, there is, no matter what, an air traffic controller at the landing. It don't matter if you have a shitty airlines or a great one. And the same thing would be if you go to surgery. If you have a bad surgeon or a great surgeon, the hospital still now provides aftercare. So we cannot let something so important be personality based. And that is where I see it on a larger level, because I truly believe that there's a statistic of people that are bottlenecking the housing supply in the country because they rather die in their homes than deal with this real estate market, And there's a lot of signs. NAR put out a statistic 2 years ago that says 88% of the public would use their agent again, but only 12% to 18% actually do. So the proof is all around us in the industry now.
Wow. So let's take a look back at leadership principles that our audience can apply in their own lives. And I'll tell you that everybody that I know who's been successful in business, the story pretty much goes the same. I had this idea, I started this thing, and I teetered on the edge of destruction for a period of time that was longer than most people would have survived. And then I started to build momentum, and then I came off the edge, and now I'm doing great, right? So you told us back some number of years ago. What year was it when you got that first truck?
07, 08.
07. And today, how many trucks you have?
Like 16 or 18.
16, 18 trucks. Yeah. So that's a lot of growth, right? So tell us about that teetering on the edge of destruction time frame. What was that like for you?
So even right now with Nobody Move, I spend 14, 16 hours a day in it, and the 8 other companies I don't even, I'm not so operational in, and I'm feeling that on this side, even as someone who's done it before. But back then it was very will this ever work? You don't have that confidence, and a lot of figuring things out, hey, if I hire somebody today, I'm going to lose $150. But if I wind up going on an estimate and getting $1,000, that would make more sense. And doing simple math day to day, well, this didn't work. Why am I growing? And just keep going, moving a Rubik's Cube until I, find a path and then go take that path as far as I could take it. A lot of doing that over a lot of years.
Yeah. So doing the math, gritting it out, thinking ahead. Did you take time aside? Did you set aside time every day? It might've been from midnight to 1 a.m. or something, but did you take time aside to just separate from the business and kind of take the high altitude approach and look down and see the big picture of your business to make those decisions?
Yes. A lot of looking outside, well, how is this person the CEO of Apple? Or, a lot of audio books to figure out well, why am I having this problem? What do I need to do differently in order to, make this work? How have other people done it? And I would say mentors and emulating people that I saw that were doing what I wanted to do, and a lot of audiobooks. Whenever I was driving around while I was working, I would have an audiobook playing and things like that.
That's awesome. That's a common thread. Audiobooks have been life-changing for me. I think you know that. Over these years, the ability to listen while I drive, while I take a shower. I've ruined a phone by dropping it in the shower. I should have had one of those shower Bluetooth speakers, but
Yeah.
I had the phone on the shelf, and next thing I know, splat into some soapy water.
Ugh.
But yeah, painting the house, doing laundry, vacuuming, mowing the lawn, doing yard work. Anytime I could be listening to an audiobook, I'd be listening to audiobooks. And even now, I listen to audiobooks. I have 3 audiobooks I'm listening to, even in the past couple of days. So tell us some of your favorite, what do you think were the best audiobooks that were helpful to you that you can share with the audience?
I would say number one, and I always have to go there, is The Alchemist. It's not business, but it's absolute like life's passion and what you're meant to be. And there's a lot of great principles. So I always say that to like make it as a baseline. And then get Rich Dad Poor Dad. I right away Robert Kiyosaki, taught me. It was because of him that the quote, show me your network, I'll show you your net worth. I joined the BNI group, and that has done, I'm 14 years in BNI, an ex-director, ex-president, grew a chapter till 75. And, the amount of knowledge I've gotten there has been enormous. So I would say definitely like anything Kiyosaki, and of course, How to Gain Friends, Influence People, all the great ones.
Yeah, standard books. Those one of the ones I recommend the most. And honestly, I don't think I would be in business if it wasn't for Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Of course, yeah.
So
Same.
great books. What about mentors? How did you find mentors that you could trust, that would give you the time to spend with you?
So the only job I really had in life was a pizzeria and a restaurant, and the restaurant's very successful. Vincent's Clam Bar, and it's owned by 2 brothers who had done it. They were busboys, and I have to say both of them were incredible. They both sat with me after a waiting table shift, like when I first bought my box truck, and the stuff they said to me, I still think about. I'm applying it to Nobody Move Now, and like now one of them and myself are partners. We own a lot of commercial buildings together, and just there was always a teacher when the student was ready. There were even customers, that were in business, or customers that were in business that I was moving and downsizing, not because their kids were older, because, their business failed. They would give me advice as it came. So anytime somebody met me and, we talked for a minute, they were giving advice. And I would say to the young business owner that's watching, like, you always want to know who's giving you the advice, because bad advice is great too. You just got to know that it's bad advice and that it's not what you want. But
Right.
people were always looking to help, in that aspect.
So yeah, topic of bad advice. Understand, we all know. I don't know that anybody knows the true statistic, but at least half of businesses are going to go out of business from within the first 5 years of when they open, and so that means that at least half the advice out there is actually not good advice, right? Because you're getting it from sources that aren't growing. They're going to end up out of business. You surpassed that 5-year, 10-year. We say you started when 2006. You started.
Oh wait.
So you're
Oh wait, yeah, officially.
Oh wait, so you're at 18 years in business.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're safe from here on in.
Yes.
I'm at about when did I start? 2019. So I'm at the going on 7-year mark. So at least I beat that 5-year mark. So what about tell me about like paying it forward. So all these people were adding value to you, these mentors and stuff. What kind of things are you doing to mentor others? Do you have people that you've taken under your wing?
So it's so funny. A lot of the things you say, and I remember when you were starting and the struggle you went through, and seeing you now, like on LinkedIn and seeing you on social media, I always smile. This bracelet, I wear it because it says engraved in it, pay it forward. And I gave it to a gift to Mike, Amoya, and Ron, who, helped me get the book deal and then helped me with the commercial. And so graciously, because they believed in my passion. So I wore it saying I would always pay it forward too, and bought it from them. So I think, I'm sorry, I forgot the question, to be honest with
It's about
you,
paying it forward,
because I was telling you the story
mentoring
about
other
paying.
people.
Yeah, any chance. And you cannot truly learn something unless you teach it. So, paying it forward is a part of learning something, and also staying relevant to what's going on, because as much as we you know have a way of looking at the younger generation does have a lot of benefits when you sit and talk to them. So, it keeps your hand on the pulse too.
Right. I would just say that any opportunity, if you think about, I think from when you're looking up, you think, hey, this person's not going to give me time or attention because look at them, they're busy, they're successful, whatever. But successful people love to work with people that are starting out. If you talk to somebody and they're like, no, it's not a good idea, don't do it. Just understand that they haven't accomplished much, right? The people that have accomplished it, they're like, yeah, go for it. It's scary. Yeah, go for it. It's okay. Do it. I think you could do it. You'll be fine. Run with it.
I absolutely agree, and I think I'm starting to see how the dynamic is, that it's almost like there's no difference between being successful and being at the fringe of the most unsuccessful. It's just a different way they look at you. And,
Mm,
you're still an outsider to the middle. And I truly believe that to be true. And I wouldn't have said that a few years ago, but it is definitely something. And the people that do achieve it, they're usually the most gracious and the most willing to help the next person, because they want to align with like-minded people.
yeah. Somebody told me that they had this idea of trying out for a professional basketball team. Um, Actually, the person didn't tell me, but I heard them speaking at a at a conference. So I guess it was me and the other 1,000 people that were there. So they go to but when they brought this up to their family, the family's like, "That's crazy. What are you thinking? Being a professional basketball player, you can't do that." And then he had an opportunity to meet a professional basketball player, and he goes, "Yeah, do it. Go try out. Do it. You can do it. Show up. Do
Exactly.
it." And it's just so interesting, the different perspective. The person who's already there is like, "Yeah, come up here," and the people that are down below are like, "No, no, no, you can't do that."
Yeah, I think people mirror their fears on other people. Like, uh, again, The Alchemist, but this is why The Alchemist is so important to me, because it's the principles before anything. And it's like there's a famous quote that says, like, you know, how come everybody always has such a clear understanding about how other people should lead their lives, but never any understanding about their own?
Hmm.
Like, that's like why The Alchemist is so important, because of what you just said.
Yeah, that's a danger. Listen, I'm a coach. I coach people all the time, and I
Hmm.
will tell you, it's 10 times easier for me to point out something that somebody else should do than to point out the same things in my own life that I need to do to upgrade myself. So I think it's just part of human nature, but it's definitely something I got to be careful about. I sometimes will hear myself speaking and be like, "Okay, Joe, take note of this yourself. You need to do this." Um,
Yeah, but you can stop right there, Joe, because the truth is they're coming to you to coach because they see something in you and they're asking for it. The difference between what we're saying is, don't give me advice that I don't ask for, but at the same time, like, tell me I look fat in a dress. You know what I mean? Like, and when people are asking you, as long as you're true to yourself, like, hey, this is the advice and this is what I know to be the right way. Take my advice, even if I don't. You know what I mean? Like, use it. I don't. I think it's a different dynamic, and that's what makes you a better coach.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to say that I don't do it, but I do. I do understand the struggle. It's definitely a struggle for me
Yes.
to apply. If I could apply 100% of everything I knew, and I think that goes for anybody, would be way beyond where we're at right now. One thing I always loved is an expression that you have. I want you to talk about it for a moment. TGIM. Tell us about that.
That was just like a rallying call years ago, and what came out of it. and it's so random. A bunch of people said it. I made it my license plate, and years later, I was like rushing to get to school to pick up my children, and the security guard was like, well, "What does that say? Does that say TJM?" And like it wasn't me. It just came through me. I was like, "Yes," because 99% of the world screams TGIF and 1% holds all the wealth. And that was it. Like, that was like, wow, I just figured out why I've been saying this for the last 4 years, you know?
Yeah.
So it was one of those, like, I'm a big believer in like, you don't see you can't connect the dots going forward. You got to see them going backwards. And that's like a prime example of that.
So we have an international audience here. So just to explain, TGIF is the common expression, which is thank God it's Friday, which is the week is over. We have a weekend to look forward to. I got through all the work stuff. TGIM is thank God it's Monday. I have an
Yep.
opportunity to go back at it, make a difference, live a purpose, serve some customers, go out there and into the grind. It's a whole different perspective shift. And so that's the TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. Let's jump into this again. Let's do it. And that's honestly, I tell you that's changed me, that mindset. I wake up on Monday mornings, I'm like TGIM. I know that you and I used to actually, we would text each other TGIM, or there was a period of time that we were in that beat the sun up time frame that we were, messing each other.
I was intense. Yeah.
We're up before the sun is up. It might be easy to do now, but it's hard to do, come June, July, and August when the sun's up pretty early in the morning.
Yes, that was a hard one. I remember that.
Okay, moving forward, like if you could achieve anything in this next year, what would you see is like your purpose, your greatest impact, if you were to have all the impact that you want to have on the world? What does that look like? What's your mission in this upcoming year?
I mean, I'm now completely what I see with Nobody Move. I am 1,000% devoted to till death. Like, I don't care. I'll sacrifice everything. I'll lose everything. It doesn't matter to me. I believe it is a cause more important than anything, and that I was called upon to do it. And there's nothing I won't do, and there's never a time I'll stop. If I fail, I fail. I'll be dead, because that's the only time I'd stop. Like, I don't care anymore about anything else. Because
do you feel like you had that
people
same? That's definitely that's definitely intense.
Yeah.
Did you have that same drive when it came to building your business, at least back in the beginning of Relocators?
I don't know if I had the same drive, but I had the same, like, all right, just get up tomorrow. As hard as it got, I just kept going. Like, I had that part of it. Passion, as far as like seeing it, I don't know if I did. Like, one of the things that my mentor said to me, which I think would be very valuable, is like, it's almost like a staircase where like you don't know what the next, you know it's dark up there and you don't know what's up there, but every time you get to one step, it's a little lighter and you could kind of see the next step, and then you could just follow it up. Like with this, like it's a totally different way, but it was the same. Like, they say, what do they say? If you're motivated, you feel it. If you're driven, you feel relief upon an achievement. And I would say I had that part. Like, I felt relief, like, okay, what's the next thing I got to do? That part was there, definitely. I was driven. Yes.
So this is like a life mission, inspiration, which I think is great, because you're serving other people. You're using your experience, and it's a passion of yours, and you're seeing the value in really serving humanity. We're talking about the humanity level right here, at least here in the United States, how things are done here, as far as upgrading the care that we're taking for our customers. And I think that this goes beyond moving and beyond the real estate transactions, but it's really like taking a patient. I think I like your analogy when you said it's like taking a patient when the surgery is done. there's all kinds of aftercare, right? They're still in the hospital, they're still being cared for, and then they're sent home with a care plan. They've got, follow up, maybe physical therapy appointments or other types of things. They're cared for, longer term. And a lot of businesses, we close the deal and we move on to the next person, and we kind of forget about our customer and their experience that they're having.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. It's what I believe is missing is a post-close standard, and that's something that's repeatable and uniform throughout personalities and experience levels to provide consistent, post-close care, whether it's setting up utilities or managing all the issues that will arise throughout the process on a transition level, but ultimately to get to what's missing, which is the post-close part of it.
Now, is that all answered in the book Nobody Move? Do you take that further? I know you have an app now, Nobody Move, the Nobody Move app.
Yeah.
How is that all, like, if I'm somebody who's listening to this and I say, you know what, I'm interested. I want to take that next step. I want to be that professional that actually takes care of my clients. What does that person need to do?
Well, I want to make sure to say that the professionals do want to take care, and they are, but I'm saying that it needs to be standardized. And what I mean by that is consumer first, repeatable, broker adoptable, aligned with vendors, and not interfere with their normal behavior. There needs to be a maximum minimum, and it could be measurable in operational performance and consumer experience. And they want to give that care. Right now it's none of these things, but it's everything. And in order to provide it as a standard, it's CRM infrastructure. I have closed source AI to all of my publishings, which gives you 24/7 emotional or logistical answers to your questions. It's 3 education modules, one professional based, one consumer based, and one on a higher level. And I have 2 education certificates that will be released soon, to make somebody a consumer advocate, professional, or a transitional expert. And it's all of those things. But you said something so important in the very beginning. It's also making sure that a client is not hurt by well-intended, misaligned professional. And what does that mean? It's saying that in the CRM, their stress levels through the roof. Don't contact them today with the next task. Or at the open house saying, hey, I might, I know you have the open house tomorrow, and I didn't hear you say you were going to go out to lunch or anything. And I just want you to know, you've been here a long time. You raised your kids here. You might hear a bunch of stuff you don't like. That's okay. We all do. It's a laissez-faire structure as well. It's backing off as much as it is proactive.
Okay, so these training courses are for the real estate professional that they're going to take training from you?
Correct. It's education for real estate professionals, all real estate professionals, as well as consumer education. And we're reaching out to like libraries and schools and stuff to educate the consumer, because like I said earlier, I believe it's called high propensity. It's houses that are most likely to sell over the next 5 years. There's no mortgage. They've been there 30 years. Their kids are in college. Those houses, those people, if they're fearful of the real estate system or they don't know what to do, we're trying to pre-educate them prior.
That's great. So how does somebody find out more information about this? They just go to nobodymove.com, or what do they need to do? I know the QR code is up on the screen here. If you can scan that QR code, you'll go to the Nobody Move website. But what is the next step? Scan the QR code,
email at info@nobodymove.com, and we'll set up a Calendly link, and have a Zoom call.
And then how about the app? Where do we find the app? Is it just called the Nobody Move app, and it's on the regular app store?
We're actually doing it based on brokers, and we're piloting in with agents right now to go through the process. So the deeper we got into this, we started to pull back because we realized there was so much more important to it, and we didn't want to put anything out too early. So we're doing it based on like a interview level to make sure um, we keep it like aligned with the people that really want to do it and really care about it. So we're not even selling outwardly right now, and that's pretty much a testament to like I don't care. I just want to like I'm so into it financially, but I believe in it so much that it's more than like a business now for me.
Got it.
It's
So,
yeah.
so
So
hopefully someday
anybody
this turns to
interested?
ROI. Right now,
Of
it's you
course, yeah,
investing, sowing, sowing, sowing. You're the farmer right now, plowing the field, planting the seeds, bringing the irrigation systems in, and it's
yes,
total blood, sweat, tears, and cash from
right
you.
now, yeah,
Funding and pushing this whole thing forward. I know you have a team of people that also joined on board with the Nobody Move um,
yes.
movement, and some great people working there as well. What else do you want people to know? Business leaders, real estate. What are your final parting words for our audience?
I would say that whatever people tell you, like whatever you deem as success is what your success is. You know what I mean? Like as much as we talk about advice, everybody has a comment to say, when it's not even advice. And you need to be secure with how you live your life, whether that's, the amount of time you dedicate to your family, to your business, to your church or community. Like in networking, I always say you have your business group life, you have your business life, and you have your family and personal life. And I think keeping that the first priority is what's most important, how you align it.
Right. So I'd say that you can't. There's not enough time in the day to do everything for every part of your life, but there is enough time in the day to do the most important responsibilities for the important parts of your life. So chunk out time in your calendar for family, for friends, for social interaction, chunk out time for mental health, chunk out time for physical health, chunk out time for networking, for growing your business, for taking care of your finances, chunk out time for your customers. Chunk out that time and consider, hey, what's the most valuable use of this time that I can spend? You know, if you're going to spend time with your kids, maybe sitting in front of the TV set's not the most valuable time that you can spend with them. Figure out, hey, what's the most valuable use of this time? I only have, let's say, an hour a night with my kids. What am I going to do to max that time with them?
And I got a great one for you that I just happened to me the other day. I have a 9, 10, and 11-year old, and I'm trying to, a friend of mine wrote this op-ed that went completely number 2 thing ever on Twitter about AI. His name is Matt Schumer. And I'm trying to teach my kids the AI, and they're fighting about their phones. And I was like, well, guess what, guys? Our second biggest problem for adults right now is you guys on your devices. So you can either prompt for 5 minutes a day, or you could just give me the devices. And, right away they switch gears. So, like,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I think in the world of AI, I'm just going to throw in there. I think it's more important now, more than ever, to actually know real information yourself from books, from mentors, from experience, from other people. When we start relying entirely on AI, like AI has all the answers, we lose that ability to evaluate what's good, what's not good, right? If I'm talking to somebody, I kind of get the idea, does this person know what they're talking about or not? But if AI says it, it sounds bold, right? It sounds bold and direct. It's like, oh, this is an expert, but it's not. It could be just as wrong as the guy sitting next to you, who never did the business before, and he has some kind of advice to give. So now more than ever, dig into the books, the audio books, listen to real people, go to real seminars, write actual stuff out with pen and paper, talk to real human beings on the other side of a table, have real coffee with real people, and build that evaluative knowledge base that you can look at what you're getting from AI and determine, does this fit with what I want to do, with who I am, with where I'm going, or doesn't it? So, and don't take AI as some kind of demigod. So
Uh, I couldn't agree more. No matter what, you're just going to see the pendulum swing the other way, and the businesses that are the most consumer touching, you know, like those with the emotional connection are going to be the ones who are the most successful, I think. And it's just another tool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Rob, listen, I super appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. I'm inspired by your vision of taking care of customers, really taking them, don't just walk them off the plank, but really just taking care of them emotionally, really feeling and seeing them for what they're experiencing and going the extra mile to go with them. It's not really an extra mile. It should be standard. So as however we can help out in this process, launching this vision forward, we're here to help out. And if you're listening in the audience today, reach out to Rob at info@nobodymove.com. You can reach out to me at info@bochampteam.com. And I hope you enjoyed this show. Check out both of the websites, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure, Joe.
Thank you.